All right, sounds good. All right, sounds good. Today is a busy day, and that right there was not an act. That was absolutely
I thought you were doing a bit.
no. That's not a bit. That was absolutely true, right there. Just frazzled right now. But yeah, this is Bark After Dark. We're barking. It's dark, and Roos, man, for the first time since we've ever done Bark After Dark, since we've ever covered Georgia, it's a Monday when covered Georgia at DawgsHQ for me, and I guess for you too, that Georgia wasn't in the national title hunt. And listen, I want to pause and not quite say I feel bad for Georgia fans. I do. I don't think it had to end on Saturday, but it ended, and that's that. But man, 29 games in a row and 2 national championships and another 12-1 season with a chance to go 13-1 and head to a prestigious bowl game. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, look, I saw a lot of people who said, oh, I just wish it hadn't been Alabama. I wish it was Ole Miss or Tennessee or whatever. I don't believe that. I got to tell you, I think a lot of people had talked themselves into the idea that this was never going to happen again, that they were going to be able to win for the rest of time and they would never have to suffer this. But yeah, I mean, I do think it probably hurts more than it was Alabama. People didn't want to do it again to Alabama. I saw the stat. I don't even know if it's true. Saban's 17-0 in Atlanta.
Yeah, something like that. It's pretty crazy.
That's like the Undertaker streak of WrestleMania, man. I mean, that's
yeah. Speaking of which, the Undertaker was up there for Texas's.
That was
wild. I don't know what that was all about.
I didn't have the TV unmuted for that. What was that? Why?
I don't know. I saw the video of Quinn Ewers kind of holding his hand up, and then it kind of panned left, and then there was the Undertaker standing to Quinn Ewers' right.
The middle of the field. The middle of the field had the belt painted on it with the WWE logo. And I was like, since when are they co-branding here?
The WWE partnered with the Big 12 to sponsor that title game.
Oh, okay.
Why?
and Saban has lost in Atlanta because they lost to Florida one of those years. But
there's going to be like some evil.
Yeah, that is true. They lose. Maybe he's won 17 in a row there.
It might be 17 in a row though,
because if they lost in 2008 to Florida, that's been a long time.
I mean, I don't know. That's a bizarre partnership to me. I can't say that. It makes me feel like there's going to be like some evil commissioner character coming down the pike.
I do want to say to Georgia fans, though, when I say I don't think it had to end Saturday, I think that was going to be the case no matter when they lost, because at some point it was going to be Georgia probably not playing its best game, getting beat. Because when you're as talented as they are and when you're as good as they've been, if you're going to be that good, normally you're not going to get beat playing your best game. It's not going to be kind of, it's going to be the defense letting you down or the offense letting you down or the coaching staff letting you down or a turnover letting you down. All of which happened for Georgia on Saturday. And we're not here to break down the game. We're more here to kind of, goof off and maybe take some of the steam out of, the hurt today. And you guys have had, a lot of you have had 48 hours to kind of do it. But, man, I get it. I absolutely understand kind of where, it goes from here.
Well, you mentioned too, and I think we've said this pretty consistently, if it was going to happen, this was the team it was probably going to happen for, right? I mean, this was, of the last 3 teams, I think you and I both agree that this is the least talented.
Yeah, definitely the least talented. And there were some relative warts on this team. I still think Georgia was one of the better teams in the country defensively, is one of the better teams in the country defensively, than the one of the better teams in the country offensively. And if you look back, the defense couldn't get a stop and struggled in the second quarter. The offense struggled for, the vast majority of quarters 1, 2, and 3. But if you look back, it really came down to, and we'll talk about officiating, I guess, in a little bit. But if you look about it, I mean, it came down to a turnover and a penalty on a taking a sack, taking a penalty, and then having a 50-yard field goal clank off the upright.
Sure.
And But I'll say this, I'm never going to be – there's nothing in the world, Roos, that bothers me than sliding through Facebook or sliding through Twitter and seeing the comments, Bama paid the refs. I hate that happened for that reason more than anything else today.
Sure.
I just don't – I hate it so much. I hate it beyond – I mean, like it makes my blood boil. Like nobody paid any refs. But they got one big one wrong, and it did impact the game.
I agree. No, completely. The Bond catch should have been reviewed. There's no – I mean, the replay clearly showed that was not a catch, and it was a big momentum shifter.
And what bothers me about that is like it doesn't really – it's not what bothers me, but one thing that bothers me about that is like Kirby should have called a timeout and made it happen. Well, Kirby's got a lot less going on than that dude watching the thing up there and reviewing that catch.
Right.
Like he's got a lot less going on than that guy does. So, and it's not like Kirby's watching replays, and maybe somebody in the booth should have helped him out, but good gracious. I mean, you got to have some confidence in your replay system. This isn't the NFL where you've got this, Bill Belichick's got the red flag in his sock.
Sure.
It's a little different. So,
yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's that, that old adage, right? You can't put it in their hands. You just can't afford to do that. You can't, I feel however you want to feel about the officiating. I like we said, I think the Bond catch should have been reviewed, but at the same time, man, you just can't leave that stuff to chance. You got to be convincing. You got to be convincing enough in your own game to not have to worry about those things. But like you said, pretty much everything that could have gone wrong for Georgia did, and at some point that was probably bound to happen.
Yeah, it was, and it was almost like in some ways it reminded me of the Ohio State game last year, and it definitely would have reminded me of the Ohio State game if Georgia had found a way to win that game. And really, I mean, if we're being honest about it, Ohio State had its chance to beat Georgia. It missed the 50-yard field goal in that game. So, football's tough. It's tough, and it's incredible. I mean, it's never been done before, win 29 straight games. It's never been done before to win back-to-back national championships. Georgia fans, you have spent the better part of 3 full calendar years, 3+ calendar years in the hunt, just absolutely in the absolute thick of it. And that's pretty incredible. And that 29-game win streak, I was thinking about it, Rose. I was there for 28 of them. The only one I missed was the Oregon game because I joined DawgsHQ on September 1st. Right. That game was on September the 3rd. And, obviously I joined on September 1st, so there was no way for me to apply for a credential that late. But, man, being there for that many in a row, that was pretty crazy, man. And I developed this sense of if Georgia ever got up by 2 scores, I was just kind of like, all right, it's cruise control now. I'm just going to kind of, I'd lighten up on the Gabe thread a little bit. I'd start getting my work done. It's kind of easy. But, yeah, it was just kind of this sense that if Georgia ever got up by 2 scores, did anything weird happen in that game that kind of caught your eye or kind of made you laugh or was wacky other than the calls?
No, yeah, the calls. I mean, to me that the little flick to Bell that ended in the fumble was just that was just so antithetical to everything I feel like I've seen from Georgia throughout this whole run. It felt so cutesy. It felt like they were just trying to do something.
And they had it so set up, though. They ran it, I think, for a big play against Georgia Tech. Same play, same direction. They ran it left. And Oscar Delp kind of comes across like he's going to go in split zone motion. He redirects and comes out. And that's what I happened to pick out on that play. I don't know why. Maybe it was because one of the defensive ends was lined up over Ernest Green. And I just kind of happened to be looking there. But when I saw him do that, I said, my thought process was, here comes the reverse. And Ernest Green and Oscar Delp were about to lead it around. I mean, they had nobody to block there. Alabama had a guy bailing out of the whole play. I saw whenever I watched the replay of it, they had a guy kind of bailing out, and I was like, oh man, this is about to go for a chunk. And I know it felt cutesy, but I also feel like you're looking for you're looking for an explosive there to get you out near midfield from the 17-yard line, and you're rolling. And you just don't execute a play that, like Carson Beck said, that they had run a million times, or not a million times, but he said they had repped it over and over.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. There was a nonchalantness though to the way that he kind of flicked that ball out. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah. It was like, what was that? Like,
It's almost like a flip up mic drop, It's
yeah,
like,
sure.
And the fact that,
Um,
I will say this, and I'm not blaming anything on Carson Beck, and I think he's done a fantastic job for Georgia this year. I think he's been incredible. But the fact that he said, I didn't even know it was on the ground, kind of, that probably tells me that you probably could have had a little bit more of attentive ball handling on that
sure,
play.
sure.
The no look thing may have played a role in that if you think about it, because if the timing was a little bit off, he couldn't really adjust. But yeah, you're definitely right about that. There was another flick on Alabama's side, man. I thought they had Jalen Milroe done. I thought he was just done, and I got to give him a lot of credit. I don't think he had a particularly great game. I don't think he was dominant. I don't think he's a Heisman winner or anything close to it. But that little flip to Isaiah Bond over the middle on the crossing route that looked, shove Patrick Mahomes style pass.
Yeah.
He just made a play every time Alabama needed it. And, that's something you got to give him a lot of credit for. And Carson Beck did too late in the game. It's just Georgia just really needed a stop in one more series.
Yeah, it's interesting you said Mahomes. That was what I was thinking of too when I saw that. I'm not saying the kid is Mahomes by any stretch of the imagination,
But that
was Mahomes-esque. There was no doubt about that. I did find it weird, man, going back through and doing the snap count. Like, Jalen Walker only had like 11 or 12 snaps on the day and had 2 sacks in that period of time. Like,
hella efficiency rating there.
That's insane, man. But also too, like, why are you? I'm not saying you got to play hot hand every time, but like that would seem like a good instance to maybe do that at least.
He had a sack on the third play of the game, played 11 more snaps.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that was bizarre. That was bizarre to me. And then Dylan Bell had 50 snaps comparatively, and probably his quietest game of the year, maybe.
Yeah. I thought there was going to be a chance in that game at some point because Alabama kind of kept getting up in his face and playing bump and run on him. And I thought that Carson Beck was going to eventually take a shot to him over the top. And I thought that Kool-Aid McKinstry went out in the fourth quarter of that game, and I thought Georgia may go after that a little bit more. Now, I don't think that played as big of a role because when McKinstry went out, I think Georgia still scored on both of its drives after McKinstry went out. So, but yeah, it felt so much like the national championship game. Georgia just didn't force the field goal on the drive where Alabama went up. I think it was 27-17. Georgia didn't force the field goal there to get the offense a chance to get back in, and then ran out of time on that last one. And I don't know, man. It's the streak had to end. It did have to end, and it was always going to end this way. And not against that team or in that building, but it was always going to end this way, in my opinion, with Georgia just not quite putting it together, or Georgia making some mistakes, or looking back at a game and folks saying officials, turnovers, and trying to, there was going to be a way, it was going to be close enough, and the type of game where you were going to be able to point the finger at one person and say that was the reason. Because that only happens in close games. You go there and get your socks beat off. That is what it is. But now we're on to bigger and crazier things, I guess, with transfer.
Are you on the Fire Bobo train?
No. Listen, if you are, that's fine. But get ready for people to disagree with you.
Sure.
Get ready for people to say, I don't agree, because I thought he did a really good job. I don't know where all this talk of him always struggling against Alabama comes up, because man, they played one of the most elite defenses in the sport in 2012, and Georgia hung points and stayed right there despite giving up over 300 yards rushing. I know that was a long time ago, but if you're going to say he's always struggled against Alabama, well, that was a long time ago too, if any examples. So,
sure.
The only other time you've got to point to is the 2008 game when Georgia didn't score in the first half in the blackout, and that was Bobo's second year as an offensive coordinator 16 or 15 years ago. So, but I think Bobo did a really good job this year, and I just don't think he had his best game on Saturday. And honestly, I think the team with its numbers on the side of his helmet had something to do with that. They're pretty good. They're pretty damn talented.
I agree. I think Alabama. I think they probably win the whole thing in the end of it. I think that to me, the SEC championship was probably for the championship, in my opinion.
Do you think that Michigan's reaction to Alabama getting in was being stunned that Florida State didn't get in, or do you think that they had a little dread over Alabama?
Yeah, I think that yeah, sure. I think that everybody who's not the SEC hates the SEC.
Yeah.
Right. And so they don't want to be the ones. Michigan doesn't want to be the ones to do this again, like they did against Georgia, like Ohio State did against Georgia. Like nobody wants the SEC team to be successful ultimately. And so I think that, yeah, they were probably pissed off that it was Alabama. That, of course, right? I mean, if you get to choose between Alabama versus this Florida State team as it stands today, you're going to take Florida State 100 times.
Yeah, I'd say so. And listen, folks, if you're looking for a ticket to that game or any other college football playoff game or Georgia in the Orange Bowl, we know where you must absolutely positively visit. It's our friends over at gametime.co. Game Time, we've talked about it a lot, but listen, they specialize in those last minute tickets. They're the best in the business when it comes to those last minute deals. But they are also, you can get them ahead of time as well. I was just actually talking to somebody a minute ago who was asking, hey, who's y'all's partner as far as tickets goes? And I told them Game Time, and they're like, man, I love this app. This is amazing. They downloaded it immediately. For the functionality of the site, for the intuitiveness of the site, I really don't think you could do any better. And you can go get tickets to pretty much any event. You want to go to a concert, you want to go to Georgia's game with Georgia Tech tomorrow night in Stegman Coliseum, go check it out, gametime.co. And listen, when you purchase tickets at Game Time, you can use the promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, and get $20 off your first order. There are some terms going to apply there. But if you want to go to the Orange Bowl, Georgia basketball, I don't even know if Taylor Swift's still on tour, but we'll pretend like she is. I think she might be in the international portion of it. If you want to go see Tate McRae, she's something else. Go see her, all right, and go to gametime.co to make it happen. Gametime.co, or download the app. Use promo code DAWGS, and you will have everything you possibly need from Game Time. All right, Roos, I think the biggest topic in our realm, other than the transfer portal today, is Florida State. Listen, man, we got Florida State beat writers calling for injunctions and little terms and mergers and acquisitions and paperwork, manila folders. I mean, it's paper clips, paper cuts. They're doxing committee members.
They're doxing committee members. I'm not saying I support that. Florida State has every right to be as pissed off as they are. I'm pissed off for Florida State, to be honest.
I am too.
I didn't.
I think they were going to get boat raced, but I feel bad for them.
Sure. Like, what are you supposed to do? And the thing about it is, they had 2 games, right, that they didn't have. They didn't have Travis. They won both of them, and in more convincing fashion than Alabama won over Auburn or won over Georgia. So I'm not saying Alabama doesn't deserve to be there. I certainly think they're one of the best 4 teams in the country. But I don't. What is Florida State supposed to do, man? I mean, all you can do is win the games on the schedule now, and it's not like you're Liberty, right? You're not playing in that conference. This is good football. I'm not saying the ACC is the pinnacle right now. That would be a little overstating their case, but the idea of they're playing consistently quality opponents, and I feel for them, man. I really do. I think they got shafted in a way that we have not seen in a long time.
Yeah, to go undefeated in a Power 5 conference, to have played an SEC team to start the season, and to do that, and it just sucks. Like, I don't believe they're one of the 4 best teams. Like, I don't without Jordan Travis.
No.
I don't. That would have been a fringe best 4 team to me if Jordan Travis was out there, but they definitely weren't with him. I mean, they beat a Louisville team on Saturday that got their ass kicked by Kentucky, and I think we all know Kentucky's not great. But I felt like they earned it. But also, man, like, Alabama's really good, and Texas beat Alabama, and Texas is pretty good too. And
yeah, sure. No, Texas should. I agree with Texas. Yeah, I don't know, man. They deserve. Here's the thing. What sucks is that, yes, I think they would have gotten boat raced as well. But now you've really kind of created a second coming of UCF here with like, they are never going to let this go.
Never.
They're going to talk about this. They'll probably get a banner printed. They'll probably,
God, if they beat Georgia, it's going to be.
Oh, it's going to be hellacious.
Yeah. I wonder if the committee looked at it. I had this thought. I wonder if the committee got in there and my man Boo Corrigan was like, all right, listen, Alabama fans, they know how to get a hold of brick in mass. Okay. And Texas fans, they're pretty damn crazy. Okay. They can, all that oil money buys a lot of flamethrowers. Let's piss off these Seminole fans because maybe living down in Tallahassee in the sunny state of Florida with no state income tax. Maybe they're a little more chill. That's the only thing I think. I mean, listen, Ron DeSantis already all over Disney. Maybe him and FSU can kind of do a little joint deal and really get after Disney.
I feel like you're very much underestimating how crazy people in the Florida Panhandle are. There's some rough characters down
there. They are, but it's a very transient state.
Sure.
Listen, you didn't want to leave Alabama out. If you left Alabama out, I mean, they'd be over there with their.
But to me, you could have so easily justified leaving them or Texas out. You could, because all you got to do is point to the record. I'm just saying in favor of FSU. Right. Yeah. That's it. I'm not.
Alabama would have marched on the committee with its compound bows. I mean, they would have just arrows flying. It would have looked like their compound bows and their atlatls. And
sure.
So I just learned what an atlatl was last night. I was watching this movie.
I don't know what that means.
It's something. It's a Native American spear chucking device. Okay. You can throw a spear 100 miles per hour with an atlatl.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I think it's like some like little hollow thing that you pull back and there's like a little bit of a spring action in it or something like I don't know. We can get into it. We can, if we want sometime, we can do a bark after dark and just throw shit at each other with an atlatl.
I'm looking at this. This is not something I'm familiar with, but I would love to play with one, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this. Did you watch any of that Florida State game the other night?
A little, not much.
I had a buddy from high school hit me up about number 55, the Fisk kid. And he goes, hey, man, have you seen this defensive tackle from Florida State? Just a big, round, white kid from Florida State. And I said, yeah, dude, he's dominating this game. He said, I'm going to give him the nickname Propane. And I said, why? Because is he setting stuff on fire? And he goes, no, because he's the white rhino. And it made me think of it. Maybe you know exactly who that made me think of.
Of course, yeah. That's
Noah Sims.
Yeah, that's Noah for sure.
Yeah, Master Chef's very own Noah Sims, who
Smithsonian.
everywhere. But yeah, that's just something I call him Propane because that's the damn white rhino.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's dude. That was incredible. I mean, I thought the authorities were going to have to get called to help Louisville's offensive line in that game, especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, oh my God, they for running them out there against Florida State's defensive line. I think Brom might need to be prosecuted.
Did you see Nick Williams is supposedly headed there?
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, that's a good hire. That's a good hire for Louisville, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just wonder why did he leave Colorado?
Dude, everybody's jumping off the Colorado ship. I mean,
yeah,
that's doesn't appear to be a very good situation for much of anybody at this point.
God, how things change. And man, I was such a big Deion fan growing up. I remember I played offensive guard in my first year of tackle football with the number 21 on because I love Deion.
Nothing says childhood offensive lineman like a Deion Sanders number on the
Dude, there's a picture somewhere. I got my little white helmet, my little 21 jersey on there, and I think we were the Falcons too. I got my flat top.
Sure.
We had a barber in my hometown named Oscar Morgan. Everybody called him Os, and you came in and you either got a high and tight, a crew cut, or a flat top.
Absolutely, man.
And
I'm very familiar with this scenario at the barber shop.
Yeah,
There was no styling. There was no style. There was no like, hey, I want to, I don't. It was like, dude, listen, this is the military. I learned to cut hair in the army, and that's what you're getting to.
Exactly. And sometimes he would get a little bit too talkative. There'd be too many people in the shop, and my mom would have to take him back and get him to clean it up because he would leave like you got the little box thing right here, and he would leave like make me look like a damn owl with the little thing sticking up over here. Just menacing as all get out. One year I got my hair cut like Animal from Hawk and Animal in the Road Warriors. I got the
you got a mohawk?
Got a well, it was more of like it was kind of a mohawk. It was cut in real tight, and he V'd it in the back with a rat tail.
Oh boy. Yeah. I don't know why I'm not surprised that you were a rat tail kid at some point.
I didn't have it very long. My mom made my dad go get me to cut
it. Sure, understandable.
Yeah,
it was. You were riding around. Your brother driving that. What was it? That Dodge? You said
that Dodge Colt, baby.
Yeah, you guys in the Dodge Colt with your rat tail.
Driving that bitch backwards. Driving it in reverse because all the forward gears went out in that thing one time. We had to drive that thing quarter mile in reverse.
Oh boy, I don't know if the people realize how white trash you and I grew up.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Dude, I remember the funny thing. We're totally just off the rails right now, but I remember my dad taking me to the Lappahaw River to fish for just fish. We'd fish for brim, we'd fish for bass, take a rod and a brim buster to fish for brim and bass. And my dad would throw up into like he would cast up in like under a tree or something and get hung in a root under the tree. Black water, dude. Just black as hell, alligators everywhere, moccasins. I just jump in, swim down there, and unhook him. Do you understand how much money it would pay? You'd have to pay me to get me to do that right now. Like I'd still swim in the water and everything like that. It'd be fine. We had sandbars. It'd be beautiful. It'd be great.
Would you let your kids do that?
No. No. I sometimes I think to myself, I had simultaneously the greatest father there's ever been and maybe the worst. I'm lucky to be alive.
Mike is a gem.
He is for sure. But yeah, with that haircut, I should have had a Bush Light with my arm out the window.
Yeah, Little Bubby Child.
What's that?
Little Bubby Child. Are you familiar with that?
I am not.
Oh my God, I'm going to send it to you when we get off of here. It's
is that Louisiana kid on Wife Swap?
No.
We're sorry people.
She thinks she's the queen, and we're the sorry people.
I went to tell Palmer about that the other day, and Palmer was like, I've seen it. Palmer's seen some stuff on the internet, man. All right, listen.
I don't want to know what Palmer's seen on the internet, buddy.
Some of the websites give you viruses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to reboot that thing. All right, listen, we've got another partner here on Bark After Dark, and we love these guys. Factor, okay? Listen, I got some Factor meals, and they were absolutely delicious. And holiday season is busy. It's bustling. It's bussing too. All right, it's bussing down, Tatiana. So you might be looking for some nutritious, flavorful meals, fuel you on these jam-packed days. Factor Meals where you need to turn. It's America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. It can help you eat well breakfast, lunch, dinner, and these things are chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, low-calorie, portion control, ready to eat, and they can be delivered straight to your door. You'll save time. You'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. If you're trying to drop some weight this time of year, this is the perfect thing to do. You can basically just take meal prepping out of the picture with Factor. Skip the planning, skip all the buying the stuff and the prep and all that stuff, the cleaning up. You get Factor meals. It saves so much time. The way I look at it, guys, is if I got to spend an hour, how much is an hour of your time worth? If I've got to spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours meal prepping for the week, that's worth some time. I feel like sometimes my time's at least worth $8 an hour Roos's is probably worth 30, 35 an hour.
Sure.
But these things can be ready in just a couple minutes, and they are fantastic. I mean, really, they are. Like I was impressed with how great they taste. And you can treat yourself to these high quality, delicious meals over these holidays, and you can get over 35 different options. There are different tiers. There are different things. You have vegan and veggie, protein plus, calorie smart, and there are other wholesome options as well. With Factor, you can rest assured you're making a sustainable choice. They all set 100% of their delivery emissions and source 100% renewable electricity for the production sites and offices. This December, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the action. Head on over to factormeals.com/dogs50, dogs50, and use dogs50 to get 50% off. That's the code dogs50 at factormeals.com/dogs50. In case you hadn't got it yet, we'll come over and hit you on a tack hammer and call you a name and get 50% off. All right. You ready for a little Jake on Jake, jaking off, having some fun here?
Let's do it.
All right. I need you to go first.
All right.
Mine's
pretty easy, actually, because you've had a chance to go to the Orange Bowl recently, right?
Yeah.
So my question for you is, were you excited when you saw that was Georgia's destination? How do you feel about Miami? Is it somewhere you look forward to visiting? And what are you going to do?
Man, that is a tough question because I wanted it more than Dallas. I just don't have much use for Dallas. I've been there once or twice, and I'm not sitting here saying it's the armpit of America or anything like that.
To me, it's very much like Atlanta.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like a bunch of loosely connected little fiefdoms. It's not a cohesive city, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely. 100%. But I wouldn't have been upset with the Fiesta Bowl, which was apparently on the table to a lesser extent. It would have been cool to go to the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, if Alabama had gotten left out, Alabama was going to play in the Orange Bowl, and it was probably going to play Louisville. And then I think that would have probably, it was going to push probably Ole Miss out of a New Year's Six Bowl. So Ole Miss, big Alabama fans, I'm sure they like the fact that they get to play in one of those. But then it was probably going to be Dallas. So, if it comes down to Miami or Dallas, I'm very much on board with Miami because I like Cuban food. I love seafood. You know how much I love seafood.
Sure.
And on top of all that, we try to, whenever possible, if Georgia was going to go to the Sugar Bowl, we were going to go down to Lafitte and find us a daggone Cajun and do some fishing like we did last time and just absolutely whack them. We're trying to plan a fishing trip again this year as well, do a little offshore deal, maybe go get some sailfish or something like that. So Miami, definitely definitely a better option, I feel like, than Dallas. And
do you feel like Georgia's going to have, I'm not going to say a hard time necessarily, but wouldn't you personally expect that this is probably going to be one of the lesser Georgia bowl crowds in some time, given that they didn't make the playoff and the fact that they have just been there recently?
Yeah, I think that's very possible. I mean, the fact that it is maybe at a little bit more of a touristy style destination, Georgia fans can go down and you can find reasonably priced places 30 minutes away because everything's so spread out down there. 30 minutes away from Hard Rock, because that's in Miami Gardens, and we're going to be based over in Fort Lauderdale, Dania Beach. But also the casino.
You got to go to Three Sons.
What's Three Sons?
It's in Dania Beach. It's a brewery / restaurant.
Okay.
I went for an Under Armour camp. I stayed at the Holiday Inn down there, and it was right across the street. They have a swordfish Reuben that is out of this world, man. So good.
We'll have to try it out, because me and OPT, we didn't branch out too much last time. We went to the same restaurant 3 nights in a row.
What was it?
15th Street Fisheries.
Okay.
It was right there on the water. Really, honestly, it was just so easy to get to.
Yeah.
There was good scenery in terms of, like, you were sitting on the bay, in a little bit of a bay, and there was and there were, like awesome looking boats coming through, and there was a place where you could kind of feed some fish, some tarpon, I believe it was, right there, and there was like clear places where you could watch the fish swim underneath you, and it was just really nice. And one night it was me and Palmer and Dan Matthews and Josh Pate. One night it was just me and Palmer after we had staked out the Georgia hotel.
Little romantic evening for you and Palmer.
Yeah, right. Trying to find out when George Pickens and
cheddar
JT
biscuits.
Oh yeah, those cheddar
biscuits.
Dude, we staked that place out, Palmer, for like 10 hours, and we didn't eat all day. And then we went in, and homeboy had to bring us, our waiter brought us about 6 baskets of these little cheddar biscuits, and we probably had 15 apiece. I mean, we carbo loaded.
Just abusing free bread.
But I remember texting you from here because I had this seared swordfish with shrimp fried rice.
Ooh,
I mean, decadent, absolutely decadent. It was amazing. I can't remember what else I had there, but it was good.
I love to run into a fried rice at a place that's not necessarily an Asian spot, because it's just always delicious, man. And if you can get it at like a little higher end place, they get the good.
It wasn't shrimp fried rice either. It was crab fried rice.
Oh yeah, okay.
It was crab fried rice.
Yeah, I'm in.
We wanted to do Joe's stone crab, but
you got to go.
I love the mustard sauce, and I love those. I love the stone crabs, but Joe's is just way too proud. They're just way too proud of their stuff. And South Beach is very bustling, no doubt about it. Bussin' as well. But there's a Cuban restaurant down there called Puerto Sawa that is also incredible. I haven't eaten there since 2010 when I drove my wife and 2 of her friends down for spring break, our first year teaching. Me and my Nissan Xterra with a cooler strapped to the hood. That was a great time. But well, me and Palmer spent some time at the casino, maybe playing some Spanish 21. Maybe some blackjack if we can find a table for less than $25. They get really fired up about their blackjack tables down there, apparently. That's another one.
I don't know. Like I said, I was just, when I saw it pop up, I was like, I could see you kind of going either way on this.
Yeah, no thanks in Dallas. No thanks in Dallas.
Yeah, I got you.
About the only thing they got in Dallas is a little bit of barbecue and ladies of the pole. And I'm not real big on ladies of the pole. I'm real particular about my barbecue. All right, listen, we're in the middle of shopping season. What is the best Christmas gift you have ever gotten for someone else?
Ooh, for someone else.
Yeah,
that's a good question. I'm really bad at gift giving. I'm terrible at it, to be honest with you. Mostly because I tend to maybe somewhat overthink it, and then I get paralyzed, and then it's like, I really wish people would just tell me what they want. I got a painting for my sister a couple years ago. That was a pretty good one. It was of the dog. She loves my mom's dog. That was a pretty good one. That was pretty thoughtful. I don't know, man. I find that maybe I'm just not thoughtful. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to waste. I feel like to some degree it's wasting money for things people don't want or need. And so I'd rather just get somebody something with some function to it if I have the ability to do that. So, probably the painting would be the best one I've gotten for somebody, but I just suck at it in general. So Christmas is probably far and away my least favorite holiday. I just do not like it. I don't know what you. I don't know what.
Nothing. I'm just now seeing this. Did you see that thing from Evan Stewart that he said on his Instagram?
I did not.
So he's transferred from A&M, and he said, "I saw it coming freshman year when I didn't get paid $1 from A&M, but sliced bread. Y'all thinking we was millionaires?"
Wow. Huh. Interesting.
I don't think they were millionaires. I just knew that they attended A&M in that big class because of the promise of money. So,
sure.
Yeah, and that didn't work out. So,
have you got your Christmas shopping done?
A lot of it. A lot of it. I'm still in Santa Claus mode. So I gotta take that little chunky white-haired man and give him all the credit for the money that comes out of my pocket, which is pretty awesome. But not all of it. One thing I like to do is I like to I do like to, especially with this job, I like to go like during the middle of the day and go to like Target and see if something strikes me for each kid when it's not very busy, and just kind of pick up one thing here and there, and then go back later and pick up another thing here and there. But I do like Christmas shopping, and I love Christmas morning when I don't have to put something together. But Steve, answer a phone call, sneeze on the show, check off some gambling squares for do this thing.
Rip a juicy fart while you're at it. Why don't you?
Yeah. I got plenty of those.
Oh God. All right. Well, yeah, I don't know, man. I Christmas not my favorite. Not looking forward to it, but it is what it is.
I'm looking a little bit forward to it because I think we're going to do Christmas dinner either here or at my brother and sister-in-law's house that live 10 minutes down the road. We don't maybe not have to go. We're flying out to Miami on Christmas night. I'm going to take the red eye. I'm going to go get drunk in Delta Sky Club and then take the red eye out and probably fall asleep on the plane and just snore everybody off. But I'm probably going to lose my Delta medallion status at the end of this year too. So I hope I get upgraded one time before I lose my medallion status, but we'll see.
Sure.
All right, folks, we've taken up way too much of your time and we've tortured you long enough. So this has been Bark After Dark, and we'll see you next Monday.